Alrighty.
All right.
Go ahead.
Welcome
Welcome
to Sleepdrunk.
to Sleepdrunk, where our lives are slowly falling apart.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Mostly because of school, but also other things.
Yeah. We'll get more into Discussion Avenue, but I just gonna give a preface, to you lovely, lovely listeners. If you hear what sounds like a jet engine in the background, I tried. Hopefully, noise reduction will come in clutch.
Epic Gamer,
I'll explain my Epic Gamer moments.
rig, PC master race. I feel like somebody on that subreddit would probably own something along that.
Yeah, probably with RGB. But anyways, we thought for today's first off, it's been a little bit since we recorded, so like discussion average is gonna be kind of long. So hopefully this initial segment will be kind of short. But since everyone's talking about a certain bushlight virus, bushlight bacteria that's kind of roving around, I thought talk about something different.
The Chinese Communist Party Wuhan virus. What?
The natty light bug.
The natty light. Oh.
Yeah, the natty.
Oh, my
light
bad.
Bug.
Natty light.
Yeah, this like college is closed because of it. Like, I think the frats and natty light bug.
Yeah, it's just they were having too many epic matches of beer pong or whatever. I don't know.
Yep. But anyway, I figured I'd talk about something a little more lighthearted, something to kind of distract us from
everyone's sick of hearing about that.
Yeah, flatten the curve. Obligatory, wash your damn hands. Be safe. Don't be stupid.
Stay at home, whatever the people are. All these white girls are posting stay at home on their Snapchat story. So just to reiterate,
don't go anywhere.
Unless you really how dare you interrupt their lives? It's always like this attitude of like, how dare everyone interrupt my life?
Yeah.
By making me stay at home. So it really annoys me. Obligatory,
don't be stupid. And yeah.
Actually, one comment on that though. I actually can't confirm this because I didn't see the video myself, but I remember hearing somebody in the Discord, somebody in my engineering Discord, talking about a video out there of Cardi B like crying while eating cereal at home.
That's kind of funny.
I swear to God.
It's chill. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. This is kind of inspired by the one and only Adam Ragusea. It's a video he did a little while ago talking about his dream fantasy restaurant, not dream restaurant. So it's a video he made talking about how if he was going to run a restaurant, what it would look like. And I thought that this could be kind of interesting for us, but instead of a restaurant, we're talking about just our fantasy business. Like, if we were going to open some kind of business, what would it be? Like, it doesn't have to be brick and mortar, it doesn't have to be a restaurant. And I'm actually quite curious on what you put, Alex. I have a little bet running internally, and I want to see.
To be honest, I have this written down on a sticky note, like the fact that I needed to do this, but it hasn't really happened. So
in your head,
I'm kind of in the process. I've been in the process of working on that. So you go ahead with yours.
Okay, all right. So mine, this is, if you guys have listened to the show before, you'll know this isn't really that big a surprise. Mine would be a coffee house. And while it's obvious, there's the reason for it is because I think if I was going to open a business, I would do it in my retirement. I wouldn't want to do it until after I've kind of careered. It's because I think firstly, I want a place I can hang out and just chill at. I think coffee places are fantastic places to hang around and chill at. I think I love doing it at my local coffee shop, and of course I love coffee. I drink a lot of it. In fact, I had mishaps with some today, which I'll talk about in Discussion Avenue, but I drink a lot of coffie. I enjoy coffee. I enjoy making it. I enjoy the culture around it. Not necessarily not necessarily the pretentiousness of it, but just the whole people hanging out, doing different stuff. So it would be a coffee place. I'm still not sure on what I would call it. It would be probably located in a city, just because in terms of opening a coffee place, a city is just generally a better place to do that than somewhere that's not a city. Just in terms of volume of people moving.
Aren't in a city both don't care about coffee in that regard and probably are way less apt to want to work in an environment like that.
And not to mention there's just there's more customers. And so I'd probably do it in DC just because it's where I'm from. And
that's your area.
Yeah. And no, what I'm thinking
703. Don't be one of those people.
I'm not. I hate people that do that. But so I think I'd probably have mine on K Street in DC. Either K Street or I Street, because that is a part of DC where there's a lot of professional people that are willing to spend a little more on coffee because they have more money, which means I can make more money. But in addition, it's a place where my dad worked for a while as part of his line of work, and it's a place where if I worked in DC, I would probably work. So it's like, near all like the World Bank and like all that stuff, and like the general like international community. And that's a community I feel that like I am a part of and resonate with, and I'd probably call it, I couldn't think of a good name.
I'd sure hope you resonate with them after all.
Yeah.
All that you've done.
Yeah. I was thinking Capital Coffee, but that's like everything in DC has capital in the name.
Yeah, it's like
Capital City Mambo
it's
Sauce,
something named
Capital
after DC
Bike Share,
or Capital, or like.
See, but the idea is I would attract.
Taco.
See, but wait, I'd be attracting like the idea is I'd be attracting people that work in these like economics buildings and all these big organizations. So it'll be like it's a double entendre. If it's also in DC, but capital is an economics term. It's an economics thing. So it'll be like a cool like place where all the economists could hang out and drink coffee and talk about economics, and it'll be really sick. So I was either going for a vibe like that, where it's like it's still laid back, but it has a much more professional atmosphere. Like it's still
okay. I just came up with something.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking at a map of DC, because I don't know where my I Street or K Street is. I'm looking at that right now.
I'd be in the northwest part of K Street probably.
Yeah, but I'm like they have the little district there, Foggy Bottom. You could make it Frothy Bottom.
That's actually not a bad idea. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. I might do that if I open a coffee shop. But Frothy Bottom, I was just thinking the Diplomat, but that sounds like a hotel. I think that is a hotel.
Yeah, the Diplomat.
Yeah.
The Diplomat on K.
I want to make it something like related to the area, related to the people that work there. But especially because I think coffee is tied to development economics, not just as people drink it, but also it's an important like crop that's used in development. It's like measured in development. Like it's a big part of it because a lot of parts of the developing world are in places that grow coffee and can grow coffee. And so it's actually part of like when development economists are doing their work, that's one of the crops they consider. When they're making recommendations of policy. So I want to have it something related to that. That's one option. Or I would have it probably around DuPont, and I'd make it a more like hip and cool place with like records, and like I'd have musicians come in, and it'll be much more hedonistic and artistic. So it would still be like, we'd still have good coffee, but it would just be more laid back, more fun, have more of a vibe, and like a place where I guess a younger crowd would come.
You'd have people with that are probably bald but still in their 20s or 30s and have very long beards. May or may not be wearing flannel plaid shirts.
Yeah. But I'd probably have records there as well. I'd have some records spinning. I'd have like some board games, like a library, like some books, have like a stage for people to come in and do stuff. I think it'd be interesting.
Favorite 3 pairs of skinny jeans on the wall.
Don't forget my mustache wax and
and your messenger
glasses.
bag.
Yes, and my round glasses.
Round or like really, really thick frame square ones.
Yes, one of the two. It hurts me how many of those categories I followed into. For the record, I carry a messenger bag in large part because it's more versatile than a backpack in terms of like professional environments. Like over the last summer when I was working in an office, you can't bring a backpack. Gotta have something a little more formal, so I brought a messenger bag. And also, I
still roll with a backpack because as far as college is concerned, it just seems like the most practical storage method.
For me, also though, I just want something different. Like I was used to having backpacks my whole life. I want to try something else. But yeah, anyway, so I think in that case, I'd probably call it like the brownstone or something. Like have it in an old brownstone, just because like I feel like that would attract the kids, and also I don't know. See, there's been like this running quasi gag between
kids.
Yeah. There's been a running quasi-gag between myself and our good friend Sean, where we keep joking about opening a coffee place. Where like I do the coffee, he does like the other stuff, and it was probably gonna be called the Brownstone because we're both of like brown ethnicity, or like brown boys or something. But yes, that's my business more or less. We'd serve. I mean, ideally I'd have some other people there working with me, like because I don't really know much about espresso, so I have to have someone that can like do espresso stuff. And maybe someone doing tea. So maybe I'd like... It'd be cool if I had like my brother work there. Because my brother's a huge tea person. Like he loves tea. And so like he knows all the different kinds. So we can do all the tea stuff. I can do all the coffee stuff. And it could be like a thing. And I think that'd be kind of cool. So it's like a family business. It's hip. It's cool. And yeah. So Alex, what's yours? I'm curious.
I must say, I'm just like... In a way, I sort of envy the amount of different sort of things that you share with your brother. Whereas with my brother, I get along with him... At least now, you know, obviously I had my qualms when we were younger, but
Yes.
I get along with him perfectly fine now. But we just have nothing in common.
See,
like we have no interests or anything in common.
This is a big cultural thing I found. In like traditional American households, siblings are much less close than they are in like South Asian households. Like in South Asian households, siblings are generally very, very close.
Like I just don't know that my brother and I could be any more different.
Yeah, I think it's a cultural thing. 'Cause it's like that. This with almost all of my white friends. Like they all hate their siblings, or like at the very least aren't super super close with them.
Yeah.
I think I think it's a cultural thing.
It's interesting, but
Yeah.
as far as mine goes, I just kind of came up with this on the fly because I come from an entrepreneurial background, and I've always had an interest to be an entrepreneur, and I still, of course, I don't know that I'll be able to in my field, which, you know, is my passion, I will say. Computer engineering is my major, for those that haven't heard me say that on here yet, but my dad is an entrepreneur. We were all, both my brother and I were encouraged to be entrepreneurs all through our childhood, and my brother is still not sure if he isn't going to. In fact, with the situation going on at his workplace right now, he very well could either end up trying to start his own you know, nursery or greenhouse or something like that, which, you know, there goes to show you just how different we are. But he has a degree in horticulture, but he's either going to do that or take over my dad's business, which I won't dox myself and say what that is, because there just aren't enough of them out there to
it's a narrow field
to be broad enough for me to be comfortable saying that. It's a really niche thing, but it's
very niche.
It is very niche.
Like,
but
I don't think I knew it was I didn't know it was a specific field until you told me.
It's one of those things where you would never know that it's there unless you were
it makes sense
customer
that
of that
there.
service.
Yeah, it makes sense that it is there, but at the same time, you don't really think about it.
Oh, Java, go away! I've had enough of you today. Go. You're one of the reasons why my nerves are shot.
Oh, poor Java.
Oh man. So my idea is wow, there goes my brain. I just came up with this. My idea would be sort of like I have no idea if this would even be practical, because right now I do websites just as like a sort of on the side thing. So obviously it would be in the tech industry, but I wouldn't want to do that as an actual business. So I was trying to think, what could I do in my field? And there aren't a lot of things, but my idea would be to sort of make like a smaller scale automation design service. And I know that sounds really, really odd or pointless, or like,
I guess I lost my
really
belt
doesn't go anywhere. But my
then.
idea was, I know at one point I was planning on, or at least I was making plans to implement a sort of like a monitoring and potentially automation and controlling platform for my brother's previous boss, who yet again owned a greenhouse, and he was on a much smaller scale than the greenhouse that he's at now. So it was something where he didn't have any sort of automation systems already in place in his greenhouses, but he was just scaling to the point where that sort of thing could really help him out. But unfortunately, due to family issues, he's no longer in business. And that never came to fruition anyway. But just sort of making computerized systems that kind of help businesses do what they do, but just a lot easier or better, or just solve some sort of problem with that. Sort of like a mom and pop shop engineer.
Huh.
I think that could be really fun.
Would you have a site? Would you have a website with the domain extension .io?
I really hate other top level domains. I just can't stand that kind of stuff, because boomers and people of the boomer mindset, which obviously aren't all boomers. Look at the kind of people that are still out there in our generation, unfortunately. They just don't understand them. Like, you say dot something, and also the whole thing that they're cheesy, but like if you don't say .com, it's like, what's that?
Yeah, but like it could be called like Like, it's like a word, but it's spelled differently and has .io, and like it's a hip and cool tech business. It's a startup, and you'd be an entrepreneur at a startup.
.io.
Like, I don't know.
That one's especially cheesy because it stands like, obviously the IO thing is playing on the whole like input output thing.
Yeah.
That's just like a term in the computer world. But it stands for Indian Ocean, and it's,
yeah, I know.
It's like those company or those
like Polynesia.
companies, those countries down there that have access to that domain, like Tuvalu. Large percentages of their GDP are based on sales in the .io domain space, which is just
like .io and .tv, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was Tuvalu that owns .tv.
Yeah.
And
so like,
who has? Is it like the Maldives or something that has .io?
No, because Maldives is in the Indian Ocean. Oh no, it's in the no, I think it is. I think it would be in the Maldives. I don't know. I'll look it up. I think it's just a general top level domain for a bunch of countries that are around there. But like, yeah, it's you could just make. I don't know. You could make it like.
Or
Word,
I could just
tech word.
make a .io game and make it get popular enough to where the ads make me enough money.
I saw something about that where a lot of people that make .io games will just program in bots to make it look there's a lot of players to get more players, right? Then when they have a lot of players, they reduce the amount of bots. I thought that was interesting. But you can make it like auto MTN or something, right? Like you cut out a bunch of vowels .io and then like get an office in Silicon Valley where like you have a open office plan.
I'm trying to. There's like, you know how a lot of newfangled companies are either words that don't make any sense, or they're sort of just like a verb.
Yeah.
Like Spotify. I don't really. That's kind of both. That doesn't really make any sense.
Word. I think Spotify.
Yeah,
is just
it doesn't
a
make any
word.
sense, and it's like a verb.
Yeah. Slack.
That it sort of makes sense.
But
like
another one.
Just like automate is the verb, but I'm trying to think if you could like, spell it differently.
Auto MTE.
Yeah, that would be a pretty
automte.io.
modern. I don't know.
That would be
a. You could go with that.
Yeah. So see, I thought you were so when we were coming up with this, but then we were like,
I want to hear what you thought I was gonna say.
So when we were doing this, right, I gave an example of like a potential business when we were just brainstorming it, and I thought, and you asked if it could be a joke, so I thought you were gonna do like a joke one.
No, I wasn't gonna do a joke if you said it wasn't gonna be a joke.
No, because I said it was okay, like as long as it was like something that's actually possible.
No, my thing was, you said that it's supposed to be serious and something like that, and I was sort of surprised because I figured, this is Sleepdrunk, he's gonna do something sort of whack, and I'm like. But I just wanted to confirm, like, this is something that's, like an actual marketable business. Mm-hmm. Like, there's an industry. Yeah. So,
yeah. See, I thought you were gonna go something dumb, like I don't know, like an AI strip club. Kind of think you would go to
blockchain, synergy, stripping.
When you synergize your stripping with blockchain. To optimize for the
you got to implement blockchain and AI and the Internet of Things into your lap dance.
That's gonna. I feel like that's gonna be a thing. Like eventually.
I hate it, but you could be right.
See, because it's
it'll match you up with the best stripper for you using AI.
Because here's the thing, right? For what it's worth, right? There's two things that are normally at the cutting edge of technology most of the time: the military and sex. Those are two things that are almost always at the cutting edge of technology. That's the thing. No, like some of the first big VR pioneers.
Absolutely the military, but
some of the big VR pioneers, some of the big a lot of the some of the big early video game pioneers when video games actually started to have 64-bit graphics. They were in that field. Like when you look at really early Tomb Raider games, Lara Croft's head is a pyramid, and she has two smaller pyramids under her chin. Like it's a thing. Like that's just how it is. Like got people they wanna do the do, and it sells. Sex sells.
I'm just thinking of the Obamium pyramid head shit. That's all that came to
okay,
mind.
We have to include that you can't you can't just drop that. That's not my little Obamium. So now that we have talked about our businesses for a little bit, I say it's time we synergize our blockchain of chat to upload it to the cloud of debate in cyberspace on Discussion Avenue.
On our stolen PC.
On our stolen PC Discussion
in a coffee shop on Discussion Avenue.
With running a VPN.
Running Express Nord internet access.
Yes, Express Nord internet access.
Who's the sponsor of today's episode? Use code EATMYASS to get 69% off your next 3 months.
On a 420-month subscription. That's a lot of months. That's a lot of months.
That is a lot of months.
It's like multiple centuries. Yeah, it is. No, it's not multiple centuries.
I was gonna say it's a lot of months,
decades.
But I don't know.
It's multiple decades.
Yeah, I think that's the word. Anyway, who's going first?
You can go ahead. It's been a while. First off, we should say I think our last recording was almost 3 weeks ago.
Yes, it has been a while. Holy crap! This online school thing has been a shit show.
It has been a hoot.
Oh man! So a lot of professors, unsurprisingly, a lot of professors are handling it better than a lot of professors that are not handling it well at all. Well, what I'm saying there is that there's just a huge spectrum of how well these professors are doing this. So starting at the upper end of that, thank God, is my extremely hard signals class. The professor for that class, her mic might sound like garbage, but at least she knows how to, or for the most part, how to teach online.
That's what one would expect in a tech class, in a tech-oriented class.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm aware. Trust me, I'm well
Let me work my way down the list.
I'm saying this, I think you did an online class. I'm pretty sure you'd have to SSH a .txt file or something.
Yeah, so I'd say for the most part that class is fine. Next one on the list is Screamy Boy. I think that was the official name for him. I didn't really have anything else. And oh my god, is that more relevant than ever. So he already was known for having no trouble projecting his voice in a lecture hall. But on Blackboard Collaborate, oh my god. If his volume is above 30%, your ears are just bleeding. It's a mess. And him and he in his lecture slides in a normal class, right? He goes ham with the laser pointer. He's always showing you exactly what he's talking about in his slides. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, And Blackboard Collaborate, it has a little pointer tool, but
it's horrible.
It's horrible. It's like a pixel. Bro, I can't see that. Half the students don't even know it's there. It looks like your mouse. I don't know what the point of it is. And then, of course, that's not good enough for him, right? As a connoisseur of laser pointers, he has now transitioned to the connoisseur of Blackboard Collaborate Ultra rectangles. This man, on Tuesday, used a grand total of 257 rectangles throughout his lecture.
I haven't seen anyone use the rectangles.
He will have upwards of 20 rectangles on the same slide. He just draws them over crap as he's talking about it. And if he goes back to talking about the same thing that he's already spoke about before, he will draw another rectangle over it.
Oh, wow.
Never fear on his slides. You will know what he's talking about, given that you can find the rectangle that he just drew. So, that class, good enough. Mm-hmm. The one thing I'll say about him is that he's seriously going through the trouble whereas none of my other professors are. They all have just kind of, thankfully, said that they'll just do their exams either open notes or just do a Blackboard quiz or something, because it just seems like the right thing to do. And I actually, I can't say her name, but the one I was just talking about with the signals class, she actually gave us a survey, because I will say she cares about what people have to say, and she gave us a survey to ask how basically she should conduct her test. And it was asking how concerned are you about cheating, and what do you think about all these different things, and what do you have access to? And I wrote her several paragraphs, and basically the gist of what I had to say was that I think that from what I've heard, well, I don't think that. I know that from what I've heard and my personal experiences, and also the university like family Facebook group that's out there. My mom's a part of it, and she's talking about how every parent on there is talking about how overloaded their kids are, and students are under a considerable amount of stress, like a ridiculous amount of stress, right now, and it's not helped by the fact that these professors are finding ways to sort of compensate for the honor code, like making their tests hard as shit, or using these lockdown browser things with cameras that are just like ridiculous.
God, those are creepy. I hate those.
Yeah, exactly. And I wrote her this, and I'm just saying, like, that kind of stuff, all it does is incentivize people to find more creative ways to cheat to stay afloat. So I say that if you try to keep it reasonable, then your students will be reasonable with you. And I think that she heeded that, because she didn't try to do the lockdown browser or anything, and I think the way she said she's going to structure her test is pretty reasonable. Now, Screamy Boy, on the other hand, announced in his last lecture that he plans on doing the lockdown browser with video.
Oh god,
and I was very upset by that, and I do plan on going into his discussion board to ask him about that, because my number one excuse is going to be that I don't have a webcam. Do I have a webcam? Yes, but do a lot of people not have webcams? Probably. Yes. So what is he going to say? Like, you can't take the test because you're poor?
Also, that would be kind of funny, not going to lie, though.
He's the kind of guy that would, like, sort of jokingly, but he's just kind of a hard ass. But also, I have another major qualm with Lockdown Browser, and that's that while it tries to market itself as Fort Knox to the schools that buy the license to it, it is very far from that.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Like, okay, technically, yes, the app does have virtual machine protections. That was my number one way that I was thinking I was going to get around the Lockdown Browser stuff, is through a virtual machine, right? Okay, but let's analyze that a little further. How does that work, all right? Think about it. This app is made in a standardized programming language. I don't even know what the programming language is, but it's compiled into a Windows executable, given that you're running Windows. And a standard programming language has functions within it. So it's going to have a function that runs its checks for virtual machines to see if it knows that it's in a virtual machine, right? So I installed it on my Windows virtual machine. I was planning on installing it on my Linux one, but then I was disappointed to find that they don't have a Linux version.
We should stop for you like use Linux.
Huh?
I mean, I know it's soft for you that like have a Linux computer and like wouldn't be able to use the browser.
That's also true. Yeah, I don't know, but
also if they're using a Linux machine, they're a certain kind of person.
Probably. I don't know. I've actually had some interesting conversations with my EC friends about Linux where they're kind of in the same category as me with thinking about it. But that's a whole different segment. Yes. But this Lockdown Browser stuff, I installed it on my virtual machine. I started it up just to test it out, and obviously, it says when I start it, you can't run Lockdown Browser on a virtual machine. Install it on a normal computer and try again. So it closes itself out after you hit OK, and I'm thinking to myself, what is it looking for? So I first thought it's probably checking some sort of registry key. So I dug around in the registry a little bit, and then I was thinking to myself, I know for the most part that there's like a million different ways to check to see if you're on a virtual machine. Because I was looking in the registry and it's like all of my devices are named VirtualBox this or Oracle that. And, you know, there's just going to be a million different things that they could see. So I was like, okay, what kind of code decompilers are out there? So I load this into one of those, and I search for strings, and there's one that comes right up, something VMware. So I decompile the function it's within, and it's just this whole function that runs the checks. So like, if you know a little bit about basic machine code, then you know what some of the hex values stand for. So if you use a hex editor, basically you can change the beginning of that function to just return a 0. That way it just says it's not on a VM without actually running any of the checks.
And once again, if this is in an electrical computer engineering class, there may be people that are inclined in that field of knowledge.
Absolutely. And also, like, if there's people that are taking loads of credits that are like, I don't have time to study for this and all of my other classes, I have to cheat. Or, like if they didn't make you cheat, then they'd be like, I'll just, like, you would normally reference your notes or something to sort of substitute. But basically, it was a matter of changing 1 byte within the software from a whatever to a 5.5. I remember that. Or no, it was a 5.5. I changed it to a C3. And then after I saved this in the hex editor, I opened up Lockdown browser, and what do you know? It goes right to the Blackboard page.
See, my one thing is, I feel like as a browser, like, let's say you're taking the test. Let's say you take the test, you finish the test in a virtual machine. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if they included something like where it would send a certificate if it was modified. That would be my one thing. That it can't
run a checksum on itself if it's like running like the way executables work. They're sort of like packages, or archives, if you will, and they have running files inside them, so it can't run a checksum, or else it's going to get a different number every time.
Yeah.
And there's full good and well, this company is not that forward thinking. They are not going to introduce integrity checks on that. Now, what I will say is that they do have, as stupidly enough, a little diagnostics like area of it. So I was able to go in there and I looked through all the information that it's recording, and obviously I didn't pass my webcam through to the VM, so it says that I didn't have a webcam installed, which is further evidence for me to say that I don't have a webcam. But I did notice that it had a list of running processes, and if anybody has experience with Lockdown browser, they will know that it sometimes asks you to close a bunch of running processes when you start it. Like if you have Skype installed, it'll say close Skype.exe before you can open Lockdown browser. And I noticed at the bottom that it had a few of the VirtualBox guest edition services. So I simply went to the task manager and turned them off, and then started it back up, and what do you know, they weren't there. And I also modified the registry keys that say the manufacturer and model of my computer to that of a Dell Latitude E something that doesn't have a webcam instead of Oracle VirtualBox.
The bottom line is, Lockdown browsers don't work, and they're dumb, and professors shouldn't use them.
Exactly. So there's that. Yet another reason for me now to not want to reveal my identity, because then if I get accused of that, then that's like a whole honor code violation against me.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to like defend myself saying I didn't use this modified.
I mean, this was all
software.
Totally hypothetical, right? This was all definitely hypothetical. You didn't actually.
All I'm doing is some white hat hacking and pen testing the software. That's all.
Yes. You were not.
I haven't taken the exam with the Lockdown
legal
browser.
Legal at sleepdrunk.net.
Yeah, legal at sleepdrunk.net. Be sure and ask any questions you may have about this at legal at sleepdrunk.net. Or maybe if you want to figure out how to replicate this yourself to sort of make sure that it is a possibility, just to sort of share it with your institution, then you could email Alex at sleepdrunk.net, and I'll maybe
forward it.
I'll maybe
write up some instructions.
Help your institution.
Yes. Yes.
Legal
at sleepdrunk.net.
Legal at sleepdrunk.net with any questions. And then there's.
I knew that.
And then there is.
Would come in handy.
Moving on from Lockdown browser, there is 2 other professors that I'd like to speak about. There is Oogway, and.
I forgot Oogway was a name for this semester.
No, Oogway was never a name for this.
I feel like you used it before though.
But Master Oogway is now his name, thanks to one of my ECE friends. I'll get into him. And then there's whatever, I don't even eat my ass, what the his long name. And he just like doesn't even do synchronous lectures. He uploaded like 3 20-minute videos to Blackboard since spring break. Like, I'm not kidding. He just kind of gave up. So like that's like maybe 1 lecture to cover the last 6 lectures.
He's trying.
Yeah, and he gave us our exam last night. It was an open notes 6-question exam. It was actually sort of hard. I looked at my notes for one thing, where I was like, I wanted to make sure that I had a formula right, and I just sort of used Acrobat Pro and my pen to write on the PDF that he gave us.
Okay.
Otherwise, and it was okay, and I like that right there is the perfect format. Like he sort of he designed the exam to take up the perfect amount of time to where like you can check your notes, but if you rely solely on checking your notes and you don't study it all for the test, then you're still screwed, because like you don't have time to sit there and dig through all of your notes to find the answers to everything. It's just like sort of a lifeline if you need a little bit of help during the exam, because obviously everyone's overworked anyway, and he would allow us to bring in formula sheets to our exams anyway. So like that's right in line with his policy, and I think that is the absolute perfect way to go. Time your exams accordingly. Like, don't give someone a take-home exam and say, okay, you have 48 hours to turn this in, because they're going to look up every answer, right? But if you time your exams, but you're not overly stringent, and you act like any sort of outside help is an honor code violation, and you're you have to follow that, then like, really?
What's the window he gave you?
People are entirely too stressed out and busy for that. Like I just said at the beginning of this episode, my nerves are shot from this week. I haven't had any time to do anything besides live on this computer. I'm so sick of living in my room. And then there's Uguay. Uguay, he's a boomer. He is an ECE professor, but
he's a boomer.
He just gets on his Zoom call and just sticks his neck all up in the camera.
Aww.
And doesn't really show us notes or run through problems or in any way structure his lectures in the way he used to. So his lectures are, almost completely pointless now. And I used to really not find his class all that difficult, but just because of the fact that I have to teach myself everything, and he just thinks that we're all doing fine because, he ran right through chapter 5, like a whole chapter of this textbook, in 2 lectures on a component that we don't know what is, have never used before, and are just sort of we're already required to use in our lab before we were even taught anything about it, which makes all the sense. So yeah, that's been online classes. And to finish up my section of Discussion Avenue, AT&T prepaid, fix your basically, mom's phone service got canceled because
reasons.
Well, I don't really even know why. Like okay, our credit card got fraudulentized, so we had to close it, and that was what all the shit was on.
Okay.
And like all of the auto pays are on that credit card, so it's just a huge pain in the ass. It was like the Chase Freedom card. It is our credit card, man. And as luck would have it, all of our phones are set to renew basically right when we find out that credit card has been stolen. And my mom was the guinea pig with this. Mine is actually set to renew, I think, tomorrow or the day after or something, but hers, she added her PayPal account. Obviously this kind of makes you want to just figure out how to use PayPal or something where you don't have to go through and manually change everything in the future. You can manage it all in one place. So she added her PayPal account, and then they just sort of, I don't know, just canceled it. And they give a discount for autopay users, like a considerable discount. We have a $50 monthly plan, and she gets, and they take $10 off if you use autopay, right? So we added this PayPal account, and autopay was never canceled, but we just changed the autopay payment method. But apparently that wasn't good enough, so we added $40 to the account, and they're acting like, no, that's not good enough. We want $50. So we called the 611 line, which is like how you get to support if you need it. I was on the phone with the hold waiting room for over 30 minutes and got nowhere. And the best part about that is it's like the AT&T is notorious for this, but all big companies, they sort of know, they try to find out just how much they can annoy people with their phones to discourage people from calling them while still keeping them as customers. And AT&T, oh my God, do they have this down to a science, man. What they do is on their hold line, they have this woman that just talks and talks and talks about AT&T features, and did you know that you could do this? And have you tried using this? And you can use this new service of ours to get this. And it's just like, oh my god, and it just is on the same repeating loop.
I'm pretty sure T-Mobile
so you can't you can't just like listen for the stop of the music or anything to wait till a person starts talking. No, you have to sit there and like keep second guessing yourself, like, is that a person or is that stupid woman saying the same over again?
Yeah, I think T-Mobile does
that. Oh, and the Mexican restaurants whose website, which I won't blame them because like this isn't their domain. It's just like coronavirus going and screwing everything up, and they're just trying to stay afloat. So their website's garbage, and I had to deal with that. And I think they somehow got our order twice because they called me on our way home and said that they had my order. But I'm like, I got my order, and they're like, oh, well, we have your order too. So
did you get twice the amount of food?
Well, they made twice the amount of food. I didn't get twice the amount of food, but that's kind of enough for them because their margins on that meal just got scraunched.
Negative.
Even they're already hurting because they're a restaurant.
Money. Yeah. That's
but rough. Their website is bad, so maybe fix that. But yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, usually my discussion avenues are zilch, but this has been a long-ass...
refreshing change.
3 weeks.
Yes, it has. Oof. Yeah. I think for me, a lot of my qualms with online classes are basically the same as yours. I've been lucky where half of my professors are grad students, because econ department, and so they are, reasonably technologically competent, which I think is good. The funny thing is, so for my macro econ lecture, right, I've had 3 lectures so far, and my professor didn't want to do a real-time lecture because the main reason was since we only have 1 lecture a week and it's dense material, he wants people to be able to ask questions in real time, right? And they're like, all right, cool, I get that. So I've been coming to them, but he also records them because a couple of our students are international students, like exchange students, and so they went back. I think they're from France.
Yeah, that would suck having to get up in the middle of the night to take class.
Yeah, no, it would have been 2 a.m. for them, and so he was like, no, I'm gonna record it anyway. And so the first day, 20 people came, which is almost the full class. The second day, 13 people came. The third day, it was just me. Just me.
Oof.
I was the only one that came.
Youch.
And you know what? I stuck through it. I stuck through it with Spider-Man because I care. I will be there.
I would feel bad too. Yeah. I would really hate to show up if it was only me because it's just awkward as hell. But I would feel bad.
See, the thing for me is that I know that I probably won't watch. Or if I do watch it, I won't pay attention to the recorded lecture.
Yeah, that's why I hate video lectures.
Yeah. I just feel like when it's live, it's okay, cool. If I miss something, I won't be able to get it back as easily. And so it's worth it to actually pay attention, especially because he's turning 3-hour lectures into 1.5-hour lectures, which I think is awesome. It's great. It's nice. I don't want to sit in my chair for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
So... But that's kind of enough in the chat for him. The other live lecture I have is my stats professor, which I think we get half the class most of the time, so it's fine turnout for what these are. But last week he was really sad, and I feel bad, because that day it was his granddaughter's birthday, and he missed it, and only half the class showed up, and he just looked really sad in his little webcam, so I feel bad for him.
Poor
guy. I forgot what I called him. I think I called him Dr. Watson. I don't know, poor guy. But I feel bad for him. Other than that, Calc has been fine. We have videos, but I think with Calc, it's okay, I have an idea of the concept. I can kind of skim this, and if I need to look something up, I look something up. I think right now we're doing vector fields. To be honest. Yeah, we're doing vector fields and all that stuff, so it's not too bad.
Which honestly, I think the content of Calc 3 is near the difficulty of Calc 2.
Yeah.
It's maybe just not, but... I don't know. I just feel like it just was, for nobody, is nearly as hard of a class as Calc 2.
Because I think for what it is that, you've already gotten over the hump. You already know how to do college calculus. And so you're just kind of in there.
And then, I don't really get the people that say differential equations is super hard. I think it's no harder than, any other math class at this point. It's just...
And I think another thing is that, most of the content... you don't learn very much new in Calc 3. Most of it's okay... You just integrate this,
it's sort of like the later part of differential equations where you know what you're doing with basic calculus. Now you do it with more things.
Yes, and you're applying things.
So here's another variable. Do a triple integral. Okay.
Yeah, so it's that's not too bad. So Calc 3 has been fine. And then
honestly,
development economics has been mostly readings, which just kind of sucked.
Oof. Well,
just kind of assign some
economics
papers.
has been pretty reading heavy already.
I mean, no, that's granted, but there's nothing else. It's just the readings. He's all right. No. So what we have is that the way it's set up is that we have.
Yeah, I was keep checking up on the print log the other day, and I noticed you have been actively printing econ readings.
Yeah. I can't read them off a screen, especially econ readings because it's so dense. I like to
I get
highlight
that,
stuff.
and it hurts your eyes after a while.
Yeah, it does. Especially because it's like, oh yeah, cool, like 20 pages of dense stuff. So
also, you have quite the bill, but still not quite what I was expecting. You're at about $16, just FYI.
Huh. Not bad. 16 or 6T?
No, 16.
Okay, good. Yeah,
1.6, and then Bree is at about like 6, I think.
Huh.
And then everyone else is under $1.
Huh. Cool. I've been printing a lot more than everyone else. I guess that makes sense. But so the way it's set up is that we have our weekly readings. Like he'll give us, like, for example, this week was like Mises's economic calculation in the socialist commonwealth. Then Harold Debsitz's Towards the Theory of Property Rights. Then one other one. So we have to read all those. Then we have a quiz, and then we also have like a discussion board where the whole class is split up into 2 teams, and then each team like alternates each week what they say. And so like next week is my team's turn. We have to rebut what the other team said. So I have to do that. And so it's not bad, but I also just feel like it's not as engaging, and it kind of sucks. Like, they're interesting readings. Like the Mises paper that we read was actually really interesting. If you're into economics, it's interesting. If you're not, it seems really boring. But so it's not too bad.
Tends to be the way with economics, I think.
Yeah. The shame is once you learn it, like, it changes how you see everything. But that's a rant for another time. I could go on for hours.
Yeah, I can tell that with Michael. My God.
Yeah, well, you learn and your eyes open. Like you have to.
Like
show
you talk ravioli parrots. I feel like Michael has sort of turned into like a U parrot in a way, but in the way that he now loves to use economics arguments against everything, not just that he spills the ideals of someone else just to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm proud of him.
That.
I'm proud of him. But
what I wanted to say earlier is all of my professors, as far as I'm aware, do lecture recordings as well.
Mm-hmm.
But attendance just has not been a problem for the most part.
See, I think it's because you take mostly STEM classes, and like I think the attitudes are very different.
Perhaps that could very well be it. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I think part of it is that like certain students take certain kinds of classes, and those like
they think that they can skip it or something.
Yeah, like my stats classes had reasonable attendance. Like I think it makes sense, right? For work, it's been interesting. So I have my morning recitations on Fridays.
That was funny.
Yeah, my morning recitations on Fridays, regular attendance. I think the actual entire class shows up, which is awesome. Like they're showing up for an 8:30 online class.
Okay, I will say my recitation that I had this morning, my only recitation I have this semester, which, up until today, usually our attendance is pretty good, but we had, I think, a grand total of 8 students show up out of 20-ish, so that was a bit of an F. So
I think for mine, right, my Friday morning block, everyone shows up. My Friday late morning block, we're not doing anything live, we're doing everything on like asynchronous. And then for my Tuesday block, I log in to Blackboard through the moderator, and moderator tools are there are no moderator tools. It's just the same as student, but you can hit make a group. It's almost exactly the same, except you can like if you make a breakout group, you can move between them, and I think you can ban people. But so I go to the moderator login. So I go in on Tuesday, and I see my 2 colleagues are there. I say hello. They say hello. But I sit there for 2 hours because no one showed up. Nobody, not a single student came, and it hurt. It hurt. It really hurt. So that's been that. So I just kind of
throw an F in chat for Alavi.
Yeah, I don't blame them because I think the TA has put all the work online, so like no one has to show up. Yeah, that's dumb. But so other than that, though, I have been getting outside more, which is kind of odd, like in my free time.
Yeah, that's kind of
because I feel like before,
not in the way that's gonna get anyone sick or anything. Obviously,
yes, no,
but
I'm staying like 100 feet away from all people. No, but so I've been going out more
deal
just
with
I feel like
school and not being able to breathe, especially as an asthmatic.
Yes. I'm at high risk. And it's allergy season, so that's been fun. But so I've been going outside more. I'm loading up on the meds. Like I got like 6 pills in the morning, and then like Flonase and eye drops. It's a lot. I'm suffering. But so just because I feel like for me, when classes were normal, I would just have a fixed amount of outside time. Because if I spend too much time inside, I go a little crazy, as I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, most people.
Yeah. So that's like been my outside time would be okay, walking to class, walking around in between classes. That'll be enough time to where I feel like I haven't been cooped up all day. But so I've been going outside more. I've been skating more, and I took a couple of L's. Like, the skating has varied from normal to... I had this one day where the weather was beautiful. It was, like, the perfect temperature. I skated for an hour, then I just kind of, like, propped my board up under a tree, like a cherry tree, and just lied down on my board for, like, 30 minutes. It was wonderful. Like, the birds were chirping. It was absolutely lovely. It was completely empty because all of the parking lots in our school are empty, and that means I can skate because there's no cars.
Yeah. How many people are in our parking lot now?
See, what's happened is that the cars have left and the cyclists have entered. There's cyclists everywhere.
Not the cyclists.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, kid on his little tricycle with his mom behind him. It's such a pain. But yeah, so
that's
there's
not
very
the kind
few
of cyclist
cars.
I thought you meant, but that's still just as bad for
No,
skating.
those two. So there's the dudes that are aero and those people.
The aero guys is who I'm talking about.
There's the aero guys. All right, that's another thing for the show notes. Casually explained. All right,
bro, that's not very aero.
Yeah, so there's those kinds of people, and then in terms of cars, I think the lot in front of our building has like 5 cars in it, including mine. It's so empty. But I've been going out to the asphalt sea. The asphalt sea. I've been
the
skating
asphalt
there.
waves in the concrete jungle.
Yeah. But so yesterday was really windy, right? But I decided I'm still going to go out because like that's also my exercise, right? Like I think skating an hour or 2 a day is pretty good exercise. So I've been like that's just my way of trying to like stay healthy.
Better than mine.
And so I decided to go
like,
out. Yeah.
Teasing my dog outside sometimes if I can even find enough time to get out while it's still sun up.
Yeah. So I think I went out. It was really windy, but I thought I'd still go anyway. So I'm skating around. There's a brief period where I got blown uphill, which was interesting.
Oof.
But so I decided, screw it.
DC's had like a lot of crazy weather, haven't they? Like hail
It's been
and
super windy. We haven't had any hail. We've had like big temperature fluctuations and a lot of
I heard they did in Woodbridge.
Oh, well, maybe. There wasn't any hail up around us. So anyway, so skating around, I decided I'd practice riding switch, right? Because I haven't done that in a while, right? And it's something where I want to like learn how to slide. I'm working on learning how to slide, and when you slide, it's good to know how to ride switch because you'll slide 180 degrees and suddenly you're riding backwards, right?
Yeah.
So I've been trying to like work on learning that, so I've been practicing it, and then I kind of get gusted down a hill, and I'm riding switch, right? Going down a hill really fast that ends just at a T intersection. So I think, you know what, stay calm, because I figured like one of the biggest things when you're in a bad session, don't panic. So I stay calm. I try to carve into another lot, but it's like the board's kind of kicking back, and so I eat real bad. I lie on the waves of the asphalt sea for like 5 minutes, just kind of curled up into a ball. My glasses are across in like a parking space. The front of my board is cracked. Then I kind of like slowly pull myself up and like hobble over, get my glasses, grab my board, and like the adrenaline lets me like walk somewhat normally, and I managed to skate back to our apartment, right? So I get back and like I just take some painkillers and I try to get on with my day, and oh boy, am I feeling the repercussions of that. I've been limping all day.
Yikes.
And this morning I wake up. So normally on Fridays I have work at 8:30. I wake up, I look at my phone. Oh hey, it's 9. That's a problem. So I like fall out of bed basically, hobble out, try to find my laptop, right? Fire it up. Okay, jump in class, like, hey, sorry, blah, 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 you know, I hurt myself, I make up an excuse, right? And they're like, okay, whatever. So I get to work, I finish my first class. Second class, I'm like, all right, coffee time, right? Because, you know, I need my morning coffee. So I go to make it, right? I'm trying a new brand of beans, Blanchard's Coffee Roasters from Richmond, Virginia, actually. So, pretty good. I have their Columbia single origin.
AO4 represent.
They have an RVA blend.
Oh god, I know exactly. Oh, the kind of like millennialisms that happen here in Richmond, they're there. Like all the gentrification and oh boy.
Yeah, but so anyway,
Carey
I'm
Street's
enjoying
like the
some
capital of that kind of.
So I'm enjoying my coffee, and then I spill it a little bit. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll clean it up. So I start cleaning it up. I got on my books, and I was like, that's kind of a pain. It was like my notebook.
The bean.
I spilled the beans. Right, so then I'm gonna go to clean it up, and at this point I'm just kind of letting my the class run in the background because at this point the main TA was like talking, so letting her do her thing. I'm cleaning, right, and then I go to clean. I knock the cup over again, and it falls on my computer. And luckily, it was at that point towards the end of the lecture, so I was able to like work ended, and then I promptly powered my computer off. but just I felt like the trackpad start to like growl, and I was like, that's not normal. So I hope my computer's been fried, and that's the reason. Alex mentioned at the beginning of the episode. I'm not recording on my normal computer.
That you were aboard your personal 737 Max.
Yes, I I'm using my Epic Gaming computer. My Alienware M14 XR2 from 2008, which I have not on my desk, but on a chair, surrounded by a towel and my bomber jacket to dampen the sound, because it's so loud. It's so loud. I'm using Slack off of my phone, and today was just like, this morning was just a series of L's, like just L's all the way, like, and also my eyes were burning in the morning, so I hadn't put my eye drops in yet, so today was an L. And I didn't eat until like 2 p.m. It was bad.
Man. Just go to bed early and wake up tomorrow. And
it's not even that. It's just like, yeah, I'm probably just going to play some Minecraft. I'm playing a lot of Minecraft as well when I have the time. Some of my buddies got a world on Xbox. And I've kind of become the redstone engineer, which maybe says stuff about the people I play with. They're not bad, but just they don't do redstone. But I've been like learning Minecraft Bedrock redstone, which is very different.
Oh, yes, it is different.
So different.
Redstone just kind of turning to run into a piston. Like, what the
Yeah. Like, a lot of stuff where like, I just have this run parallel. It just doesn't work. But so I've been working on that. We've been doing a lot of like contraptional designs. And I'm kind of happy because we've kind of been designing them on our own. And I think I enjoy the process. Like, I could just look at a tutorial to make this more efficient. But we've built basically a Villiger Eugenics system. So we have a pit, right? So there's a huge pit full of beds. You pull a lever, and then the dispenser dumps a bunch of potatoes on them. Like, there's like a clock that just dumps potatoes on them. They breed, right? They do their thing. Then you put the baby on a little minecart. You pull a lever, a fence gate opens, and then fence gate closes, and then like the wall moves aside with some pistons to like send the kid out. Then there's a switching station. We can either send them to the farm for hard labor, where they make potatoes, or we send them through the purification system, where they go into a chamber. They're converted into a zombie villager by a zombie, and then they're sent out of the chamber up to a purification area where they're purified and then sent up to a trading hall. Because purified villagers have the best trading rates.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. I built a huge pagoda as well. I'll include a picture of my pagoda in the show notes, so I'm kind of proud of it. So I will mark that down.
Damn, so you really just left us in the dust. I see how it is.
I feel like they needed help. I was helping them, and I think it's good because I feel like on our world I was running out of things to do, so like now that I've kind of been on this world for a bit, I have a bunch of new ideas that I can bring back.
Yeah, I have a bunch of new ideas that I want to try too, but I find that if I'm really busy with school and other things, I don't really have like the drive to get on and play Minecraft. I have to be idle for a few days.
Yeah, that's true. I get that. See, I also spend a lot of time in Minecraft idle, like just at AFK farms, so like I try to make it productive. But also another thing is in Java, so a friend of mine, this is going to be like my including her, so a good friend of mine, her sister's wedding was canceled because of Corona, as one would expect, right? Maybe now's not the time to have weddings.
Actually, I have a friend
and so they're planning like a little wedding. So they're planning on throwing like a mini wedding for her in Minecraft, so I've been helping them set that up. So like that's where my Java edition time has been going, which I think is super dope. I think that's really great. So I've been helping them kind of set that up, like build the hall, terraform the hill, putting a little house.
Did you hear about the high school that was doing their graduation in Roblox?
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. That's kind of great. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
On that great statement, don't forget that the Sleepdrunk podcast can be found on any of your favorite podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. And don't forget to share the show. It really, really helps us grow. You know, we really appreciate it.
Absolutely, yes.
And
we'll catch you next week.
Tweet us, Sleepdrunk PC, and we'll catch you next week.